Hello everybody, this is the last review for the Star Wars Original Saga. It's kind of saddening actually. I've really enjoyed talking about these movies, but I'm also looking forward to getting onto other movie reviews very soon. Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, I've always had a very complicated history with this movie. It has always been my least favorite movie of the original trilogy, and there are reasons for that. Some of the scenes that are in Jabba's palace, the annoying creatures that are singing, spoiler alert for this whole movie, of course. Some of the creatures that start singing in Jabba's palace, I could really do without that. It is very annoying and it's very hard to sit through. And at that point, you're sitting there going, "Oh gosh, is this going to be one of those terrible third movies in a trilogy?" And it redeems itself after the scene in this Sarlacc pit, after Luke and Han and Chewie are sentenced to be killed in this pit, and Luke rescues them. And when you'd think that Han would want to just punch Lando across the face for betraying him in Empire, they're fine right away. Han rescues him, and they're all buddy-buddy, and everything's fine. That's a little on the nose. You'd think that they would have a bit of a problem with each other, but it's glanced over. Some of the scenes that are in between, like, they came up with another Death Star for this movie, and you don't get the impression that it's any bigger or any more powerful than the last one. And it really seems like George Lucas got desperate with this movie. But I can understand how the Empire was frustrated. The first Death Star got destroyed, so like, well, we're going to make another one that's even better. And this one wasn't finished being built, so who knows? If it would have been finished, it could have been much better. We don't know. The movie never gets that far. Admiral Akbar, he's a likable character. He's one of the generals in the rebellion. Leia and Han, they are together in this movie. They have more chemistry with each other. Han Solo, of course, is cocky and arrogant and confident as he is in all the other movies. He's pretty much the same person in all three of the movies. And that is actually one of Harrison Ford's complaints about Han Solo these years later, is that Han in the original trilogy doesn't have much of a character. And in some ways I agree, but he's the scoundrel, he's the sarcastic jerk that everyone doesn't want to really listen to, and that he's just this weird character, and I like him for that. And you also don't know much about his history. Again, in this movie you don't learn much about his past, which is okay. It's nice when things are left to the imagination. And I like that Luke is a grown-up in this movie. My biggest complaint with Empire probably was that the characters didn't grow very much. And this movie, Luke is a mature Jedi. He walks in with a robe and a hood, and he's more mature. He's more useful with his words. He's not complaining. He's not the same person that said, "I'm going into town to get power converters, and I want to be with my friends, and I want everything right now." He's not the same person. And that's pleasing to see. And Luke's final moments with Yoda passes away in this movie, which I didn't think was necessary, but it is saddening when Yoda passes away. And, before Yoda passes away, he says there is another Skywalker, which puts mystery in your head, and it's very interesting. And when Luke is about to leave Dagobah, he's like, "I can't go on alone." And then Obi-Wan's Force Ghost shows up and has a conversation with Luke. And their conversation is really interesting. And it's very good. And I like it a lot. And the part where Luke and Vader are talking to each other, Luke eventually senses, that Darth Vader is going to come for him on the planet of Endor, and he endangers everybody if he stays on this planet where everyone's taken refuge. So he decides to basically surrender himself to the Empire, to Darth Vader, in an attempt to redeem his father. And their conversation when they're left alone in this kind of a tunnel, and they have a conversation where Luke is telling Vader, that you were once my father, Anakin Skywalker. It's not too late. Come back with me. We can, be good together. We can be a team. And Vader says, "Well, Obi-Wan once thought as you do. It's too late for me, son." And Luke says, well, my father truly is dead. One of my favorite emotional moments in any movie in all of history is after that moment, and Vader is standing there just looking kind of down at the camera, and he's holding on to this rail, and he's just there. You can't see his eyes. You can't see nothing for his facial reaction because he's in a mask. But you can just tell he's thinking, what am I going to do? And it's incredible storytelling just in one few second frame. Even though this is my least favorite of the original trilogy, it has a lot of redeeming moments in it. The planet of Endor, the Ewoks, I believe they were there just to sell toys, Lego sets, stuffed animals, probably. They're just there. They're like the Gungans. I can do with them, I can do without them. They're okay. They're just there. The Battle of Endor is fine. Again, it's very cartoony, two logs smashing together, taking out a walker, and it's there. It's very cartoony. It's very much made for kids, but I got some enjoyment out of it. The duel between Vader and Luke at the very end is very wonderfully done. And, when the fight goes in favor of Luke and Luke severs one of Vader's hands, he looks at his own robotic hand because he lost his hand in Empire Strikes Back in the fight with Vader. And he realizes, well, if I kill him, I'll be just like my father. And he ends up throwing his lightsaber aside and says, I will never turn to the dark side. I'm a Jedi. And then Palpatine, of course, hits him with lightning. It was a stupid decision for Luke to toss aside his lightsaber. It's always been confusing to me. If Luke would have held on to his lightsaber, he and his father probably would have made it through and both survived. But he chose to throw his lightsaber aside thinking, no, I'm just going to let myself be killed. And he didn't know his father was going to save him. Yes, Vader saves Luke at the end when the Emperor's lightning bolt and throwing lightning at Luke and says, you will die and pay for your lack of vision, and, you will die. And then Vader lifts up the Emperor and tosses him down this, shaft and presumably kills him. And Vader dies in this movie too. But before he does, Luke gets to take off Vader's mask, and you get to see the old Anakin, and you get to see them have a final conversation. And Vader says, tell your sister, Leia is Luke's sister, tell your sister you were right about me, that there was some good in me, you were right. And because having seen the whole saga, you get the feeling that, in episode 3, when he believes that Padme is gone, that he killed her, and that he was responsible for all this stuff, and that he had nothing left. All he had left was the darkness. So he just surrendered to the dark side because he had nothing left. And once he realized he has a son who cares about him and wants to save him, he's willing to sacrifice himself for the one thing that he does care about now, and that's his son, Luke. And the very end of the movie, there's a celebration on Endor where the Force ghosts of Obi-Wan and Yoda and his father Anakin are there, and he gets to, kind of salute them and say, hey, we won, kind of thing. And then the movie ends, and it is a wonderful end to the saga. And I love Star Wars. I've always been a fan of Star Wars, and this movie gets a 7 out of 10. It is my least favorite of the original trilogy, but it has enough redeeming qualities in it that if you skip past the Jabba the Hutt opening and you go into it with the knowledge that Han escapes, that Jabba dies, and that they're fine and the movie moves on, if you skip that beginning part, the movie is fine to sit through and it's really enjoyable. It gets a 7 out of 10. Watch it, enjoy it. I am done with the Star Wars reviews for now. Someday in the future, I'll probably get around to reviewing The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and other Star Wars universe films. But for now, I want to focus my energy on reviewing other movies. But I'll probably come back to those eventually. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Come back for more reviews very soon. You all are great. See you soon. Have a great day. Take care.